In today's video, I want to show you some secret tricks to make one-shots, while showing you ways you can use them to make a sample. Before we get into this video, I've actually made a free one-shot kit consisting of 150 one-shots, which are made from similar techniques that I used in this video. If you want to download this, head over to my website and I've left a link in the description. When making a one-shot, the rules are limitless. A popular technique that people like to use is like pigments and serum, but for some of my one-shots, I like to use this emulator, and I like this because it gives it a little bit different of a texture. So I have this acoustic one-shot I recorded from my guitar. And what I've done, I just put this straight into the emulator. So the first thing I like to do is just transpose it so it's a little bit lower. And you can already hear it's got a little bit of a synth texture. And the first thing I like to do is just filter out some frequencies. So just taking a little bit of the highs down, then just bringing this resonance up so it's still got that little bit of high end. Then I just like to change the envelope of the filter, putting up the decay, sustain and release. Then I like to utilize the LFO. So I just bring the rate up a little bit. And I like to bring the vibrator to like 10, just gives it a nice like detuned sound. And when the LFO rate is faster, it doesn't sound out of pitch. And lastly, in this voice FX, I like to just add a distortion, bring the drive up a little bit, just so it gives it a little bit more harsh character. Then I like to make an envelope for the whole volume, so with the attack, release. Then lastly, I want to go into the effects and make sure this routing is on the down arrows. That way, each effect is playing after each other. And what I like to do with the delay is turn the tempo off so it's a little bit out of sync. Then just turn the delay time up. Then just take a little bit of them lows out because they don't want to be clashing. Then take some highs. And again, the same thing with some reverb and chorus, and it sounds like this. Then I'm just running this sound a little bit through some tape and a little bit more of like a room reverb, so it's boxed in a little bit. And for my one shots, I like to use this EQ master, and I just use this preset called the Mix Just Sounds Better. Or I can actually turn it into an ARP accent sound. So what I've done is just got a minor triad chord and I've just duplicated it so it's a bit higher. Then I just come into this arpeggiator tool and I've just turned the range up and the multiply down so it's faster. See, I just drew in some extra notes and it sounds like this. And to spice it up to give it that accent texture, I've just thrown on this outer space delay and having the repeats really higher than the flutter higher. Then I've gone through and found this Portal preset, making sure the wet is 100%. And it just creates that really cool texture. And again, you can use this on lead sound. So I drew in this lead pattern that sounds like this. When running it through a similar process like I showed you, can make something like this. Then again, to just find some unique random textures, I like to put an Edison on the master and just press record. So I've got this Mike Dean Glide from my kit. And what I want to do is highlight this to just keep it playing and just go through all the presets on Portal. And when we listen back to this, we can see there's a couple cool textures in there. So now let me show you how you can use these one-shots in making a sample. So the first thing you want to do when loading a sample is just turn stretch mode on. That way all the notes are the same length. And I've just layered these two pads, but I like to have an envelope so it's just holding the note. Another trick is using my pads as ARPs. So what I like to do is come into this arpeggiator tool and I just turn the time up so it's fast and this gate so it's just ducking out. Then the range so it has a different pitch. Then I just like to pair this with a shaper box so it's just rising in and out so it's not too frequent. And I've used a bell sound and I like to use this echo delay. So I've done the feedback up a little bit and the pitch up so it's having a higher octave, sounding something like this. And for strings, I like to use this LFO sound, so it's a little bit out of tune and has that vibrato sound. Brought the amount up a little bit so it's not too out of tune. Then a fast LFO and attack up. Notice that sound has a really cool pulsing texture. Then next I want to add a bass. What you want to do is bring your bass into Edison and change it to snap to zero crossing. Then just select the range, right click and set loop. And that way you can make a loop point like this so it's lasting longer as you hold it. And another trick to use is these slide notes. I find them best using them on basses and leads. Another layer that I added was this piano sound, and you can see I like to use this pitch range, setting it to 1 so it can't go out of key. And I like to just put it on like +10, and that just makes it sound a little bit more realistic. So if you listen to it before, then listen to it after, then I've just thrown in some of them ARP sounds that I made, a lead, and I just wanted to add a vocal from Splice, and together it all sounds like this.